So we've collated 5 Transition Toolkit tips for you to help keep your mind in check from the start of term moving onwards. Hi, I'm Stacey, the lead educational psychologist at Inner Circles Educational Psychology and the founder of the Self-Care series. We help selfless educators in stressful roles to upskill themselves, to improve their wellbeing practices and the wellbeing of their students, and to then avoid that road to burnout. Number 1. Reach for the familiar. Now, regardless of what change you've experienced in coming back from the summer holidays, it's likely that you'll be having different students in a different setting. There'll be something that's new. In times like this, it's really important for us to hold on to the familiar. So in the same way that a child may have a transition object or a blankie, shout out to my son, it's really important for you to find something that's familiar so that it's easier psychologically for you to cope with the newness. This may be a piece of stationery, it might be a mug, it might be a routine that you currently do and have always done. It's really important that you can hold on to some of those within the new environment that you find yourself in, the new situation. The important thing is that it represents control, you being in control of a situation, you owning something, so that it's easier to cope when things are thrown at you that you are not in control of. I consider these objects anchors to help you to bring you back to yourself when it seems as though there's a lot of difference going on around you and things that you're unfamiliar with. Having that object, that framed photo or whatever it is, helps you to bring yourself back to yourself in the moment. Number 2, new classroom, but where are you? The second toolkit tip is an extension of number 1. It really considers where are you in your classroom and how have you been able to create the environment that you find yourself in. Not just bringing a transition object in so that you feel more comfortable with the changes that are going on around you, but how have you co-constructed and created the curriculum, the way that things are done, so that they work just for you? We must also consider the importance of co-construction with our students. Being able to co-facilitate or co-construct something with a student really lends itself to positive attunement with your learners, as well as giving them a real sense of belonging and ownership around how things are done. It might be something as simple as choosing where you may sit in the library where you do your reading session, or what types of instruments they may use when they're doing a music lesson. It might be something as simple as what day of the week they may well access their golden time. The psychology says that if we can find ourselves and see ourselves in our environment and in the way that things are done, we're more likely to get on with and to subscribe to the way that we are being asked to produce work. That's true of us as professionals and also true of our students. Number 3, plan in your holidays. So I know what it's like to go through your diary and you put in the half terms and you put in the teacher training days and everything else to try and piece together the structure of your year. What I'm talking about in this toolkit tip is for you to be able to put in at least 2 activities by the end of the month. It really is about being proactive about your mental health. Find your allies by putting yourself first and putting something in the diary that is not related to your work. I find school systems really interesting in terms of the lots of things, but particularly here I'm thinking about the hierarchy that exists. Now, it's really important to think that you can find people who you gel with, who you connect with, and who you realise have got your very best interests at heart. Those are your allies. I say allies and not cheerleaders because it's not one-way traffic here. These are people who you can confide in and who confide in you, and are not just there to cheer you on when you're doing something well, but you can actually provide some really positive feedback and constructive feedback for them when they're in their time of need too. So that's why I consider them allies when life is throwing at you guys whatever it does throw, all the challenges. Culture is created through social norms and routines, And establishing who your allies are can help you to establish routines and help each other to stick to those routines and therefore change the culture of the system that you work in. My hope is that along with your allies, you'll be able to stick to some things that you know are very good for yourself, such as you might all agree to have lunch together on a Wednesday, for example, and bring in something that you can all share and eat. It might be that you decide that you'll stay late after work just once per week and you will all pick the same day and therefore encourage each other. Or it might be that you have a pact to leave on time on one particular day and that is the day that you all stick to. Number 5, health check. A large part of mental health is underscored by physical health, and as we approach the colder months in the UK, and as we progress through the academic year, it's really important at this point to get an MOT for yourself, to consider and evaluate where are you health-wise and what might you need to do differently. Being selfless professionals, I think we often are quite bad at taking ourselves to the GP. It might be that there's something that's been concerning you for a long time, but you've just pushed it to the back of your mind because you know what, it's not quite that serious yet. So if you think you need to get a checkup for your blood pressure or medication that you're currently taking, now is the time to book in that appointment. I would encourage you to be as proactive as you can be in your choices around your physical health, so that you can make sure that your body is as ready as it can be for the new year that we've started. Do you need to make some changes to your eating habits or your level of hydration and how much you're drinking during the day? Are you getting enough sleep? I know that for some of us it's really, really difficult, but what can you do to increase your level of sleep by a small marker, whether it's half an hour or an hour? Can you set an alarm for yourself to go to bed at a certain time? And finally, how are you building up your immunity as you progress to the winter months? Should you be taking a supplement of vitamin C or vitamin D, for example? Or if your iron levels are quite low, should you be taking a supplement for that? I do hope those have been some helpful suggestions of things to include in your transition toolkit. And if you want to collate that information into a template, we've got a handy tool that is in the description box below that you can download. Year on year, it's really difficult sometimes to be self-reflective, but this little tool, hopefully it can help you to take a little bit of time out and to complete this, to think about how you can start the year as you mean to go on. Please leave a comment below sharing some of the transition tools that you find particularly helpful when going back into term after a break away. If you don't get these updates regularly, I will encourage you to subscribe by pressing the subscribe button and turning on notifications. All that's left for me to say is thank you so much for joining us, and I do hope you have a great week ahead. See you next time. Bye bye.